Yo, welcome to the ClayEnterprise Newsletter Podcast, episode 3. And for this episode, we got 16-year-old girl found dead, shot to death. Parkland shooter beats the death penalty. We also got San Antonio officer fired after shooting teenager. Another school shooting in St. Louis. Another high school student body slammed school resource officer. Middle school student steals 10 grand from grandparents and passes out lunch money to friends. And last but not least, we got Icon Park Orlando thrill ride to be torn down following the death of Tyrese Sampson.
Amazing.
Yeah. Now let's get into what's trending for the day. Up first for trending, we got parents react to Parkland shooter beating the death penalty. Damn.
So I would say that it just makes the fire inside us even want to fight harder for change and know that we have to do so much more to prevent the next school shooting and work so much harder, because this cannot happen. And our nonprofit, Make Our Schools Safe, we have been fighting to get Alyssa's Law passed nationally as a standard level of school safety protection in every school across this country, so that if there is a life-threatening emergency, law enforcement can get on the scene as quickly as possible and take down the threat. Law enforcement needs to do their job. They cannot stand there and just watch as 17 people get shot and killed. Your job as a police officer is to go in, engage, and take down the threat. And if you can't do that, don't do the job.
Larry, the defense lawyers were willing to plead guilty early on for exchange for life. I'm wondering, in retrospect, if all of this was worth it, and not just having that outcome almost ready.
No, absolutely not. He should have been given the death penalty from the get-go.
Will you be, Lori, after what you just said, I assume you're going to be there when Scott Peterson goes on trial?
Absolutely. I just want to end with, please don't show the shooter's face. Stop showing the shooter's face. No notoriety. 17 people were killed. Let's remember them.
Not only the parents calling out or reacting to this situation, we also got the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He calling for a change of the death penalty. Check this shit out.
Backlash over the Parkland verdict is reaching the highest levels of the state.
Governor Ron DeSantis is now calling for changes to Florida's death penalty law, and the need for reform was front and center at his campaign stop today.
I'm sorry, when you murder 17 people in cold blood, the only appropriate punishment is capital punishment. That was a miscarriage of justice.
The governor expressing his frustrations at, again, a rally in Coral Springs. This happened just moments ago, and that's where we find Local 10's Bridget Matter live with our top story at 6. Bridget.
Well, back in 2017, the laws in Florida changed, requiring a unanimous jury to return a death penalty recommendation. Now Governor Ron DeSantis is challenging legislators wanting to possibly go back to a majority rule. Many thought the 2018 mass murder of 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School would result in a slam dunk death penalty recommendation verdict. But in a 9-3 split, 9 for death, 3 for life, the death penalty is no longer an option.
If not now the death penalty, then when? There is no excuse.
A decision that enraged many victims' loved ones. It was an emotionally tolling and intense 7 hours of deliberations. Juror Andrew Johnson requested the rifle used in the shooting be brought into the jury room, a final attempt at convincing the 3 voting for life. The shooter's defense team presented their case of a young boy poisoned in the womb by alcohol with developmental delays. The defense's case was enough to convince 3 on the panel to spare the killer's life. According to a New York Times article, one juror was firm in her decision that, quote, she could not sentence someone she considered to be mentally ill to death. In 2017, Florida law went into effect, making it much harder for prosecutors to achieve a death penalty recommendation. Until 2016, law allowed majority rule to recommend a death sentence. Now that change is being questioned by Governor Ron DeSantis.
I'm sorry, when you murder 17 people in cold blood, the only appropriate punishment is capital punishment.
As far as the state's case is concerned, nothing else can be done. But on This Week in South Florida, prosecutor Gail Levine says a federal case could be on the horizon.
If the families do want a do-over, the federal government has the ability to try this case because a firearm was used in interstate commerce.
Now remember, the shooter has not been officially sentenced. That will come in the coming weeks.
Up next, we got San Antonio officer fired over shooting unarmed teen. God damn it.
A police shooting caught on camera, an officer confronting a teenager in his car and moments later opening fire. ABC's Zareen Shah joins us now with more on this case. Zareen, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. That officer involved has now been fired, and we spoke to that teenager's friend who says he was not a deadly threat. He just went out to get a hamburger, and now he's fighting for his life.
My best friend wasn't no deadly threat. He had a hamburger, you know, he feared for his life in the moment.
Friends and family concerned about 17-year-old Eric Cantu, shot multiple times by a San Antonio police officer as he and a female passenger sat in a car in a fast food parking lot.
What the?
Overnight, the officer was fired from the police force. The district attorney says Cantu was unarmed and, according to the family, is now on life support. The incident seen here in just released body cam video shows the officer who was initially responding to another disturbance at this McDonald's last Sunday, turning his attention to the maroon car in the parking lot. The officer thinks it's stolen.
I got a vehicle over here that fled from me the other day.
Watch as Officer James Brennan approaches and, without warning, opens the car door. The teen eating a burger.
Get out of the car.
Officer Brennan says Cantu hit him with the car door as he put the car in reverse. Within seconds, the officer firing multiple times at the car as Cantu sped away.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Cantu found a block away with multiple gunshot wounds. Police putting the boy in handcuffs before he's transported to the hospital. Cantu is now there in critical condition.
He is on oxygen. He does have a breathing tube, things like that. But we hope he can fully recover from this situation and this incident that happened. You know, it's very hard to think about. Very hard.
That rookie police officer on the department for just 7 months has been fired. The San Antonio Police Department saying Brennan was in violation of department tactics, training, and procedures. This case has been turned over to the DA's office. They will decide whether or not to press charges against that officer. We have reached out to the police union for comment.
See, now, if it was up to me, that motherfucker would be more than fired. His ass would be down there dead around that motherfucker. Straight up. Up next for trending, we got Health Department reports increase of flesh-eating bacteria in Florida.
Florida has seen an increase in cases of flesh-eating bacteria this year. The bacteria thrives in floodwater.
And because of that, as West 2's Amanda Dukes reports, officials believe the surge is being driven in the county hit hardest by Hurricane Ian.
Parts of Florida hit hardest by Hurricane Ian are seeing nearly double the normal number of infections from a flesh-eating bacteria that thrives in coastal floodwaters. According to the Florida Department of Health, so far in 2022, Florida has seen 65 cases and 11 deaths from the bacterium. That compares with 34 cases and 10 deaths in 2021. The only Central Florida counties with reported cases this year are Brevard with 2 cases and no deaths, and Seminole with 1 case and 1 death. Compare that to Lee County, where Hurricane Ian made landfall. It has 29 cases and 4 deaths. UCF professor Dr. Salvador Almagro Moreno is an expert in flesh-eating bacteria. He says considering the expansive flooding from Ian, he's not surprised at the spike.
people that might not be in contact with bacterium during normal times, because of the water and the coastal water getting inside the land, just increases the contact. And also, since people it's going to have like wounds because they're going to be carrying things, it's going to be like, it's basically creating the perfect environment for transmission of the disease.
Scientists say flesh-eating bacteria primarily thrives in salt water, and the flooding that we saw here in central Florida was mostly fresh water. They say that's why we didn't see more cases here. Doctors say for those with weakened immune systems, an infection with flesh-eating bacteria can be life-threatening. Dr. Moreno's advice is simply to avoid brackish floodwaters.
Boy, that's some nasty ass shit. The flesh-eating bacteria, ooh, half you motherfuckers don't take no bath, so the hurricane ain't do nothing but justice for you and help wash your ass. But this flesh-eating bacteria, ooh. Last but not least for trending, we got at least 2 killed in St. Louis school shooting. It's fucked up.
Another school shooting, this time in St. Louis. It happened today at the city's Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. Terrified students leaving their school with hands raised, escaping the senseless horror of bullets and bloodshed in their hallways and classrooms. A teenage girl was pronounced dead inside the school. Another victim, a teacher, died at the hospital. The gunman, believed to be in his 20s, was killed in a gun battle with police. This was the 40th school shooting in the U.S. this year. That's a half dozen more than in all of last year. The mayor of St. Louis spoke for so many parents today, saying, our children shouldn't have to experience this. Caroline Hecker of our CBS St. Louis affiliate KMOV joins us now from the scene. Good evening, Caroline.
Good evening, Nora. It was a horrifying and chaotic scene here that played out at the school. The victims ranging in age from 61 years old to just 15. The shooting sending students scrambling to safety, jumping out of windows, and finding any door they could find. It was just after 9 a.m.
They reported an active shooter in a high school
when an all too familiar scene erupted.
We're walking out the building. It's blood on the ground and stuff like that. We see students covered in blood. I see a lot of kids. It was kids crying everywhere.
Police raced to Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. Traumatized students ran for their lives. Relatives rushed to their loved ones.
It's a nightmare.
Students say the shooter entered the school with a long gun, then opened fire, killing one female teenager and injuring at least 7 others. One victim, teacher Jean Kushka, who passionately raised money for diabetes research, later died at the hospital. The gunman was reportedly killed by police.
I seen my friend have all blood on her hand, and it was like she seen the shooter, and the shooter came to her and said, "You ready to die?" And just see her just screaming and crying, and it was just hurt me.
As the community mourns, there are questions about safety at the school where authorities say 7 security personnel were on duty at the time.
It was that timely response by that security officer, the fact that the door did cause pause for the suspect, that bought us some time. So, but yes, the doors were locked.
Investigators located the suspect's car and are searching for more clues to the gunman's motive.
Everyone who survived here is going to take home trauma. Even the officers who responded here, and the firefighters and the paramedics who worked on people here are going to experience some degree of trauma.
Now, agents with the ATF and FBI were seen searching a home connected to that gunman this afternoon. Again, the ATF and FBI seen searching that home for several hours here in South St. Louis. He is said to be a 19-year-old male, graduated, Nora, from this school just last year. Tonight, the community
Now that's it for those horrific stories and trending. Let's get to the sports, baby. First up for sports, let's talk about the NFL. We got Miami beat Pittsburgh this weekend. Check the highlights out.
And Tagovailoa gets it out right away. And there's Jalen Waddle with space to make up the penalty and the lost yardage. For the first down. Mostert in motion, blocks, 2 throws to Gesicki. Mike Gesicki, the tight end. 3 for the first down, 8 for the touchdown. Tua stepping up. Getting it to Mostert in space in the end zone. Touchdown, Miami.
know what you do.
23-yard line, right back to Mostert. Made a man miss in the backfield, accelerates like he's out of the blocks. 4 for the first down, 6 for the touchdown. Tagovailoa throws, it's caught, big hit on Mostert by Minka Fitzpatrick across the middle. Instead holding, so 2 drives and 2 scores for Miami. Steelers seeking their first down of the night. And Pickett goes for one of those matchups, and it's an interception. Chase Claypool got tied up with Justin Bethel, and field goal attempt from Sanders, who's been perfect inside of 50 this year. From 41. He continues that. 24-42 tonight. And we'll knock it through and get 3 on the board for Miami. With 2 seconds till halftime, and Dolphins bring 4. Pickett in the middle, he's intercepted! Trying to force it in, and the safety, Javon Holland, took it away, and he's got it around midfield. Big play by the captain. Pickett. Escape, thought about running, has to fire, and stands at the sideline! Ikbenogany didn't come down with the second foot. Holland says review it. Line judge comes down for a conversation.
It looked like 1 foot.
Next for the NFL Florida teams, we got Jacksonville got stumped by the New York Giants 17-23. Ain't that about a bitch? And we had a mega upset. Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost 3. Carolina Panthers 21. I know Brady don't got to be feeling like, what the fuck? Next for sports, we got the NBA. Of course, Orlando Magic lost to the New York Knicks 102-115. Next game is in Cleveland, which is tonight. Hopefully we pull that first win of the season, because we looking bad, 0-4 so far. We got Miami Heat lost to the Toronto Raptors the other night, 90-98. Next game tonight also in Portland for Miami. Hopefully Miami get his second win on that, but Portland been like 10 shit up, so I don't know about that. Fucking around with Lillard. All right, for the NCAA football Florida teams, we had a bye week for the University of Florida. We had a bye week for FSU. USF also had a bye, and also FAMU had a bye. That's a lot of byes for the Florida teams, but we pulled it off with Miami Hurricanes beat the Duke Blue Devils 21-45. We got UCF losing to East Carolina University 13-34. We got BCU, Bethune-Cookman University, beat Mississippi Valley 45-35. And then we also got Edward Waters, Jacksonville College, beat Central State Ohio 45-13. Last but not least for sports, we got the boxing world coming up, man. Of course, let me give you this highlight of Deontay Wilder knockout last week.
Can negate that all. Let's see what he do with the fake downstairs. And there's Fury. We were able to negate that power a bit when he put Wilder on his back foot. And there's a huge right hand. Down goes Helenius. Bomb Squad is back.
All right, Deontay Wilder got his knockout last week. Following this fight, we got Silva versus the Paul boy. Can't wait to see what happened with that. But that's it with sports, man. Let's get on to the local news. First up for the local news, we got man accused of following woman to downtown Orlando home. Ain't that about a bitch?
Now, surveillance video and super clear images you likely saw right here on News 6 has led to the arrest of a man accused of following a woman home and forcing his way into her downtown apartment. News 6's Troy Campbell has more on the charges this guy's facing after that scary incident.
Detectives say as bars were closing here in downtown Orlando, the suspect followed the victim as she walked home to her apartment. Now, almost 2 weeks later, they've arrested him in part thanks to surveillance images they were able to capture from inside the victim's apartment.
After pandemic, it's just gotten worse.
Barbara Robles says she's lived in downtown Orlando for the past 8 years, reacting to the arrest of 36-year-old Alan McCrone. Orlando police say in the early morning hours of September 6th, at bar close, he followed a woman walking back home to her apartment. Detectives say McCrone then forced his way inside her apartment, assaulted her, and stole cash. The woman was left with minor bruises and lacerations. Using these surveillance images from inside her apartment, detectives were able to identify McCrone and arrest him on Friday. Robles says this serves as another example why she doesn't feel comfortable walking alone downtown at night.
After 11 o'clock at night, there seems to be a lot of shootings, a lot of things like that going on, so I pick and choose where I go. I don't stay on the main strip. I actually go towards the side bars, if anything.
Orlando police have not released details about the exact location or the name of the apartment complex where the assault took place.
Ooh, but they gonna put his ass up under the jail. Shocking video shows 3 Orlando bike officers hit by a lady driving BMW. Drunk bitch.
Orlando police say this video shows the moment 3 of their officers were hit by a drunk driver. According to police, the officers were conducting a traffic stop near the intersection of Central Boulevard and Orange Avenue Wednesday night when a silver BMW, seen coming into frame now, slams into the officers and the car they had stopped. Police say the driver of that BMW was 26-year-old Lori DiCarlo. According to the arrest report, officers could smell alcohol on DiCarlo's breath, and when they tried to question her after the crash, she became combative, saying, quote, "I don't know why you're making this a big deal." Officers say throughout the interview, DiCarlo was slurring her speech and having trouble standing. According to the report, officers tried multiple times to get DiCarlo to do a field sobriety test, but they say she refused. Officers say DiCarlo yelled profanities at them and demanded to go home. She was arrested on site and taken to Orange County's DUI breath test center. According to the report, she told nurses there that she had been drinking wine at Wine Down Wednesday downtown. Thankfully, police say all 3 officers and the driver of the car DiCarlo hit are expected to be okay.
You know it's gonna be a little white privilege in this situation, but we'll just see. You'll never hear about this story again. The news ain't gonna never bring it up no more, trust me. All right, we got Polk County Sheriff. Deputy accidentally killed by friendly fire. Damn, that's sad.
Is grieving this evening after losing one of their own. 21-year-old Deputy Blaine Lane was fatally shot overnight. Happened while he was serving a drug warrant early this morning in Polk City. And just a short time ago, we learned that he was killed by friendly fire. Fox 13's Ken Suarez has the unsettling details.
Blaine Lane, 21 years old, a father, and a deputy for only 9 months, killed in the line of duty.
Words can't adequately explain the absolute grief we feel. But it's our job to be at our very best at the very worst of times.
That sadness was shared by hundreds of law enforcement officers and supporters as Lane's body was transported from Lakeland Regional, where he died, to the medical examiner's office in Winter Haven Tuesday morning. Before sunrise, Lane and 3 other deputies were serving a drug warrant for Cheryl Williams, an ex-con. They had just gotten a tip she was staying in a trailer in Polk City. The young deputy was positioned in the front of the home. His 3 fellow deputies went around back and went in.
Investigators say Williams pulled a gun on the deputies. It appeared to be a real gun, but it wasn't. It was a BB gun.
Not realizing that, deputies fired off 6 rounds. Williams was hit. At least 1 bullet pierced a wall and hit Lane in the shoulder and torso outside. The sheriff is now characterizing the incident as an attempted suicide by cop.
She created this entire event. She forced this shooting. She knew if she pointed this gun at my deputies in the middle of the night that we wouldn't return fire to keep her from killing one of our deputies.
Lane was able to talk when he arrived at the hospital, so it looked like he was going to survive, but did not. Williams was also taken to the hospital and will be charged with second-degree murder. In Polk County, Ken Suarez,
wow,
Fox 13 News.
Can you believe that shit? Now the lady who was in the house, she gonna have to take the blame for all that because they was there to arrest her. And she pulled out this fake BB gun. Oh man, they finna give her a life sentence just for pulling the BB gun, boy. Trust me on this. Now up next, we got Florida high school student accused of body slamming police officer.
New video just into our newsroom shows a St. Cloud police officer being roughed up, slammed onto the ground by a student. Now that student is under arrest. Yeah, we're being told that student had nothing to do with the fight that the officer is actually trying to break up.
Fox 35 anchor Ray Vieta joins us in studio. And Ray, the police chief is sounding off on this tonight.
The chief says this video is spreading on social media. He calls it an extremely disturbing altercation. Here's how the whole thing unfolded. The officer you see there says he was separating a fight between two students at St. Cloud High School. That's when police say a third student went up to the officer, grabbed him by the neck, pulled him away from the fight, picked him up and slammed him to the ground. The chief praised a few other students and a school administrator who he says stepped in to help the SRO. Other officers arrived shortly after. In a statement tonight, the chief calls what happened, quote, despicable and should never have happened. We will never tolerate behavior that targets our officers and will hold those accountable at the highest levels. We put in a request for the body camera video to see more of the incident. Police say they're still going through that footage, but will release it to us next week. Deborah, John?
I ain't gonna lie, Jit slapped the hell out that police officer, but you know what? Crazy thing about it is that they praising the police officer for what? What you think? For not shooting the damn boy. He getting all the praise in the world because he ain't shoot the boy. Check this shit out.
St. Cloud police say one of their school resource officers was breaking up a fight when another student grabbed the officer, slamming him into the ground. All of it caught on video. Video given to us from the St. Cloud Police Department shows a student slamming a school resource officer to the ground. We've blurred the face of the 15-year-old student because while police say he was arrested for battery of a law enforcement officer and resisting an officer with violence, charges have not yet been filed. Police say the 15-year-old student grabbed Officer Ball first by the neck and then this. The officer is thrown to the ground. In the video, you can hear Officer Ball trying to calm the student down.
Calm down. Even though he physically attacked him, the officers still exercise a tremendous amount of restraint to be able to just pin him down and just say, okay, let's wait till backup comes.
Julius Melendez, vice chairman of the school board of Osceola County, called this a textbook example of how SROs should react in this situation.
I think that training shows up on this tape. So I'm really proud of the work of the task force to ensure that law enforcement is a partner with the schools.
Melendez created a citizens advisory committee for school safety after this incident at Liberty High School back in January of 2021, where video shows an SRO slamming a student into the concrete.
In that incident, it was the SRO trying to disengage the student from fighting directly. And so when he tried to disengage her, that's when the incident happened, and the student ended up getting hurt. In this situation in St. Cloud High School, there were two separate fights or two separate students fighting. So this student was a third party to the two students that were fighting.
Police say neither Officer Ball or the student were injured in the incident. I've also asked police if they have any other video they're looking at, either of the moments leading up to the incident or any other video aside from the body camera video. But police say that is everything they have at this moment. For now in the newsroom, I'm Lauren Cervantes getting results.
I mean, yeah, that would have been crazy if he would have shot the boy at the school with all the kids and shit. But all this praise and shit because he didn't do it, they wild as fuck. Up next, we got Florida man, 83 years old, died after enjoying a ride at Disney World. That's how he wanted to go out.
Man dies while riding a ride at Magic Kingdom. The Palm Coast man was on a slow ride when he had a heart attack. Fox 35's Valerie Boy has the response from that family tonight.
Now, the wife of the man who died says Disney did nothing wrong. She says they had just arrived and were on the People Mover ride here at Disney when he died of natural causes. She says he really loved coming here.
I know Joe had quite a bit of passion for going to Disney.
This is 83-year-old Joe Masters at Disney with his family. His wife Alice told us off camera that they were recently on the People Mover ride when Joe suffered heart failure and died. She tells us he recently started using a pacemaker.
It was just overall sadness and shock to hear that. We had just seen Joe a few days before, and to learn of his passing that day was so heartbreaking.
Lieutenant Patrick Giuliano of the Palm Coast Fire Department says Captain Joe Masters served as a firefighter in Central Florida and upstate New York for 6 decades.
Joe was a remarkable person. He had a servant's heart and was always looking to find ways to give back.
And even after he retired from active duty, he continued to serve his community by leading fire prevention programs.
So even up until the day he passed, he was very much active in our department and very active throughout the city.
So when the department found out their captain died,
Joe got the honors of a firefighter. He was given a great salute from us.
Joe's wife has no regrets about going to Disney World, saying he died in his happy place.
You know, he was with his family, and they were at a place that they shared a lot of love and a lot of happy memories there.
And Joe's wife says they've been pass holders for the last 20 years. She says Disney employees were very helpful as she was dealing with this tragedy.
Next up, me digging in the local news, we got drivers suffer car problems after filling up at Orlando gas station. They jipping you.
At least 6 customers of an Orlando gas station say contaminated gas did serious damage to their cars.
The Florida Department of Agriculture has since ordered the gas station to stop selling the gas. West 2's Amanda Dukes spoke with some of the upset customers.
Greg Scheibel is grateful his beloved truck is running okay. He says last Monday he got gas at the Chevron Stop and Go on East Colonial and barely made it home.
Got 2 blocks from here, started running horrible.
Scheibel is a retired mechanic and suspected he might have gotten bad gas, so he returned to the gas station to get a sample from the same pump he used and poured it into a glass bowl.
I could see there was water in the gas. It was rusty water that fell to the center. Gas and water separate. Water always goes to the bottom, gas goes to the top.
Scheibel says he showed the watery mixture to a clerk at the gas station and then called the Department of Agriculture, which inspects retail gas pumps. Documents requested by West 2 News reveal on Tuesday the 11th an inspector responded to the stop and go and discovered in 3 of the gas station's storage tanks the amount of water exceeded 0.25 inches. The gas station was ordered to stop selling gas, and the reason listed was contamination.
The Department of Agriculture emailed me copies of 6 different complaints from drivers who say they got gas here on October 10th or 11th, and immediately their cars began sputtering, stalling, even breaking down.
One driver whose car broke down in the middle of the road sent us a copy of her $671 repair bill along with a photo of what she says is the mix of water and gas removed from her tank. She said over the phone she'd like some reimbursement.
A lot of families don't have that kind of money sitting around. You know, it wasn't fun to shuffle out, close to $800. It would be nice to be reimbursed.
West 2 News approached a clerk at the gas station to see if anyone would comment on the gas issue or plans to reimburse those who suffered damage. But we were told no one would be available to speak with us until Tuesday. Meantime, the gas pumps remain closed with red tags warning
that a gas
stop
station in
sale
East
order
Orange
from the
County was
Department
ordered
of
to stop selling gas after the gas was found to be contaminated.
Tonight, West 2's Amanda Dukes confronted the gas station manager over who will reimburse the victims.
Monday, West 2 News reported that the Chevron Stop and Go on East Colonial was ordered by the Florida Department of Agriculture to stop selling gas. Documents reveal at least 6 drivers complained after their cars suffered damage from gas contaminated with water. One driver sent us a copy of her $671 repair bill, along with a photo of the watery gas removed from her tank. Late Tuesday, the state emailed WESH 2 News to say more than 3 inches of water was found in the regular gas storage tank and 1 1/4 inches in the premium. The inspector said it appeared the water in the tank was most likely caused by the unprecedented flooding from Hurricane Ian.
The burning question now is for the drivers whose cars were damaged, who's going to take responsibility?
Greg Scheibel is a retired mechanic who says he bought some of the contaminated gas. He claims the gas station management is refusing to work with him on reimbursement. As we were talking to Scheibel, gas station manager Jackie Marilla came out saying he does plan to work with the victims.
And you said, oh, you're working with everybody. You're not working with me. You haven't taken my information, but don't worry. I'll get you. There we go. See you.
I pushed Marilla for answers.
Are you going to reimburse them for the damage to their cars or just the gas?
Some of them I already reimbursed them the money for the gas already.
Okay, but what about the damage to their cars, Jackie?
The damage to the cars, that's the same thing. He's like, if the insurance is supposed to take care of that, the insurance is going to take care of that.
Your insurance?
Yeah, so they want to come into us about it.
Marilla claims part of the confusion is that he doesn't know who's responsible for the gas storage tanks, claiming there are 3 different parties involved in the retail gas side of the business. Meantime, the station's pumps remain shut down until the gas tanks are repaired and a state inspector signs off on gas sales resuming. Amanda Dukes reporting, WESH 2 News.
The Department of Agriculture says the incident is under investigation for possible sanctions or fines. The agency says it does not have the authority to require the gas station to reimburse customers.
Yeah, we've been knowing about that shit for years. Arabs, all them people out with them stoves and shit like that. A lot of them be putting water in the motherfucking gas tank. Well, they got you putting water in your gas tank. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
Putting all that water in the gas, fucking up these people's cars, man. I barely trust Wawa putting in a damn car. The price so cheap, I'm like, damn, there got to be water in this motherfucking gas. Up next, we got Florida middle school student stole 10 grand from grandparents. Little bad motherfucker.
Students walk through these halls all day, every day, absorbing information, learning what they can. But now they're learning a lesson they probably did not anticipate: the consequences of stealing.
Welcome to the school messenger notification system for Marion County Public Schools.
Parents got a voicemail from Lake Weir Middle School's principal Thursday, asking them to give their kids a call. Michelle Spalding obliged.
That's when she was like, yeah, Mom, the child did come up to me and asked me for if I wanted $100, and she said no, it's got to be stolen. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Since then, this has turned into a criminal investigation. The Marion County Sheriff's Office says a 14-year-old girl broke into her grandparents' safe and stole about $13,500 in cash. That was half her grandmother's life savings left over after she'd sold her house. Then the sheriff's office says the girl started handing the cash out to people at school.
I really hope it gets recovered because that's so devastating. I feel really bad for the family, for sure.
Students who accepted the money told deputies the girl claimed she had permission to give it away.
What? No.
Some students didn't buy that story and reported it to administrators and the school resource officer.
She said she doesn't know the kid at all. She's never seen the kid at all, which I thought was even more shocking.
The young girl is now facing felony charges for grand theft. She was arrested Friday morning and given a $2,000 bond.
At 14, oh my Lord, that's so sad.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office and school administrators are trying to get that money back. Tune in at 11 to hear what they're doing to get it and how much they've recovered so far.
Ooh, leave their ass toe out the frame. Up next, we got a man found dead in car in Orange County. Could be connected to another shooting, deputies say. Check this shit out.
Exactly right. So we are on Samuel Street in Eatonville, and this is where Orange County deputies say the shooting happened last night. There was a resident here who caught it on her Ring camera. She didn't feel comfortable sharing that on TV, but I did watch it. It shows these cars racing down the street over here, and you could just hear the gunshots ringing out in this area. Now, this happened around 5:10 last night. When Orange County deputies got to the scene, there were no victims or no witnesses, but they say they did find bullet casings on the ground. People who live in this area say it's pretty scary because this is normally a quiet neighborhood.
Heard the rapid fire, pow, 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 pow. It was like a movie, like being in the Wild Wild West, just cars chasing each other and a shootout. Didn't see any people, just heard the noise.
So then later in the evening, Orlando police responded to what they thought was a car crash at Princeton Street and Westmoreland Road, which is about a 15-minute drive from where we are right now. Officers found a man in the car who had been shot, and deputies believe it is the person who was shot here in Eatonville, and that man is 30-year-old Darrell Lee Merricks Jr., and he died at the hospital. We are still working to learn if the suspects were taken into custody or if investigators are still looking for them. We've been at the scene here for a couple hours, and we've seen investigators going from house to house asking people if they have video and looking for any other information that they can find.
Yeah, boy, been going down in Orlando. Up next, we got family seeks answers after high school student found shot.
The Dr. Phillips High School student was found shot in a car last week. Deputies say the car crashed along Stardust Lane in Orange County. News 6's Jerry Askin spoke with the victim's mom, who says somebody has to know something.
I'm hurt, I'm sad, but at this point I'm more angry because I don't know what's going on or what happened.
Patrice Johnson wants answers. She's hurting and wishing her son was still here. Deputies say 18-year-old Josiah Boyd was found shot in a car that crashed here along Stardust Lane around 7:30 p.m. last Thursday. He was pronounced dead at the hospital.
He was excited, you know, to be going to homecoming and be looking forward to graduating. And also today, he was supposed to be taking his senior pictures.
But for now, all she has are the memories. Here's a photo of her son getting ready for homecoming at Dr. Phillips High School last year. Detectives say they're searching for leads as this case remains active.
I just feel like, you know, certain things I should know already, and I don't. And it's not fair, it's not right.
Does he have any enemies or anybody who would want to hurt him?
No, not that I know of, no.
All we know is that he was in a car and he was shot while leaving.
Kene Anusianwu is the attorney representing the family.
There should be some video evidence that exists. And we believe if there's video evidence, then there's likely to be some form of evidence of a suspect. We're looking at all avenues to make sure that justice is served here.
Mom just wants answers.
Someone seen something, someone heard something, and I just pray that, you know, someone come forward.
Mom said her son was possibly meeting someone here in this area when all this happened, but again, she still has so many questions. The family is hosting a candlelight vigil this Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Eagles Nest Park that's in the Metro West area. If you can help make an arrest or if you know anything about this case, you're asked to call the Orange County Sheriff's Office. You may be eligible for a cash reward of up to $5,000.
Wow.
In Pine Hills here in
wow.
Orange County. I'm Jerry Askin.
Next, we got jewelry store owner shoots, kills 2 people trying to rob Magic Mall.
Police have been investigating in the shopping plaza along West Colonial Drive, east of John Young Parkway. News 6's Lauren Cervantes is live there tonight. And Lauren, last time we saw you was a very active scene. What can you tell us?
Yeah, it's still pretty active out here. Police are looking at a couple of different spots in the mall. They tell me that these doors right here near this entrance, this is where the jewelry booth was that was robbed. You can see an evidence marker in front of there. I'm going to have my photographer pan over so you can see it's on the other side of the mall. They're also looking at a spot over here near this entrance, and you can see bullet casings marked by the evidence markers in front of these doors.
You get these criminals that want to come in, commit crimes, and this is what happens.
Pete Lopez was at his booth in the Magic Mall helping a customer when he heard the gunshots.
Well, everybody just ran and people were ducking and they were like, what's going on? A lot of scrambling around.
Orlando police say 4 suspects, at least one armed, were robbing a jewelry booth when the store owner shot at the suspects.
What happened was some guys jumped over the counter. They tried to do a snatch and grab and they got shot. The owner of the jewelry shop is a licensed carrier, and he shot.
Ms. V owns the booth right next to the jewelry store that was robbed. You see people running?
Of course, they was running and tearing up and everything, trying to get out of here because you have to get down on the ground. You hear gunshot, you gonna stand there? No.
Police say one of the suspects was found dead inside the mall. The remaining 3 ran to their car and took off. Investigators say they were found near Arlington Street and Ventura Avenue. One was found with a gunshot wound and was taken to the hospital where they died. Now, we've asked police a number of questions, including if the store owner has a concealed carry license and what prompted the store owner to open fire. I've also asked the ages of the suspects involved, but police tell me that this is an ongoing investigation. We aren't getting any more details. For now, in Orange County, I'm Lauren Cervantes.
Boy, it's a lot of rough shit happening in the city, man. Well, that's it for the local news. Let's jump right into the motherfucking breaking news. Up first for the breaking news, we got the FreeFall ride at Icon Orlando on International Drive to be torn down following the death of Tyrese Sampson.
A ride safety expert tells me he's surprised FreeFall didn't come down sooner. But now that it will be, he along with family members and experts are hoping more will be done, like adding tougher regulations to thrill rides to make sure what happened to Tyrese Sampson does not happen to anyone else. Orlando's FreeFall ride will be torn down after a 14-year-old lost his life from it. Tyrese Sampson got on the 430-foot tall tower at Icon Park with some friends back in March. When the ride dropped, he fell out of his harness to his death.
What surprises me is that no one is being charged criminally with anything in this case. This was not an accident. People were responsible for this.
Ken Martin is an amusement ride safety consultant and analyst. He's been critical of how the state handled the inspection of FreeFall when it opened. In April, investigators found that safety sensors on Sampson's seat had been adjusted to open wider than the other seats.
And part of this boils down to the issue that no two states regulate amusement ride safety the same way. And it should be that way. Florida should not exempt to fixed amusement parks. I mean, my goodness, we're talking about, children here.
In a statement, Florida Commissioner of Agriculture Nikki Fried said in part, "While the investigation is ongoing, I hope this news brings a measure of comfort to Sampson's family." Sampson's mom was too emotional to speak out Thursday, but her attorney says the ride's removal has been her biggest goal.
We all know that ride should never be operated again, should not have been operated. It was absolutely defective and dangerous.
In a statement, the owner of the FreeFall ride, Orlando Slingshot Group, said in part, "We have listened to the wishes of Tyree's family and the community. In addition, we will honor Tyree and his legacy in the classroom and on the football field by creating a scholarship in his name." Icon Park said in part, "Tyree's death is a tragedy that we will never forget. As the landlord, we welcome and appreciate the decision to take down the ride." It's still unclear when the ride will be coming down. Orlando Slingshot Group did not give a timeline, but said they are waiting for approval from everyone involved in this matter. Now, the attorney representing Tyree's mom says she may speak up about it. She may speak out about it tomorrow. He added they will keep a close eye on the ride, and because they are prepared to fight in case it ends up anywhere else.
They hoping all us forget about what happened to that boy, which that's sad and it's fucked up. I don't like it. I really don't think they should tear down the ride. What they should do is just place some type of memorial there. It don't have to be nothing big. It could be a little small, little 2-foot statue just signifying, hey, somebody lost their life here, enjoying themselves. It just fucked up what they doing, you know what I'm saying? And besides that, my next video I'm about to show you, even the damn FreeFall analyst, man, surprised that there ain't no damn criminal charges being filed in this manner. It's just sad, it's fucked up. Check this shit out.
Yeah, that's right. And the family has won the fight to get the FreeFall torn down, but the company that owns it still hasn't said anything about what will happen to the ride next to it, which a lot of people also want to be shut down permanently. Now, the company that owns both rides, the Slingshot Group, said that it decided to take down FreeFall because it listened to the community and is devastated by 14-year-old Tyrese Sampson's death back in March. The company did not say when it would start tearing FreeFall down. Investigators have said that Tyree was too big for that ride and that the safety system had to be manually adjusted to let him get on. We talked to a ride safety consultant who says he's not surprised that FreeFall is being scrapped.
What surprises me is that no one is being charged criminally with anything in this case. This was not an accident. People were responsible for this.
And the state is still investigating. The Slingshot Group also says it'll be setting up a scholarship in Tyree's honor. The company has not said what will happen to the Slingshot ride, which is right next to the FreeFall. Many people have called for it to be shut down, and it hasn't been operating since Tyree fell to his death. But right now, the company hasn't said anything about its
that shit's sad, man.
Park, Bob Hazen.
Fucked up. Long live Tyree, man. Up next in breaking news, we got missing 16-year-old girl found shot to death. Whoa.
Well, guys, Orlando police have confirmed that the 16-year-old DeShayla Ferguson, who was found shot and killed yesterday, is indeed the same DeShayla Ferguson who was reported missing here in Orlando back in August. Now, what happened between the time she went missing and the time she was found shot and killed remains a mystery, and her killer remains out there.
I heard one shot, boom.
Neighbors who live off Broken Pine Circle in Orlando say it was right around 7 o'clock Monday night when they heard a single gunshot.
So I stay quiet, you know, because sometimes you worry for more or something like that. So I don't hear nothing more. They only heard some people screaming. That's it.
This woman, Maria, lives just down the road. She said after the shot rang out, she stepped outside to see what happened.
I don't see the body. I don't see nothing there. They only see the little bunch they keep around.
According to the Orange County Sheriff's Office, 16-year-old DeShayla Ferguson was shot and killed in the front yard of that nearby home. It's unclear what led up to the shooting, and at this time, the shooter remains at large. But we are starting to learn more about the victim. According to Orlando police, Ferguson was reported missing back on August 12th after she left the Department of Children and Families office on South Kirkman Road. A missing persons report was filed, and her information was posted on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website. What happened to Ferguson in the 2 months she was missing remains unknown. Maria, the neighbor we spoke with, said she doesn't know the people who live at that house, but was sad to learn the victim was so young.
I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling bad because I have a granddaughter, but this age, 16 years old, so.
Now, we have requested more information with that missing persons case related to Ferguson. We are still waiting to get those records when it comes
that teen was first reported missing. So, Jerry, what can you tell us about this case?
Very much an ongoing.
Lisa, a wild story. I got a copy of that missing person report today for DeShayla Ferguson. It shows she left here in August. As DCF worked to place her in a home for the evening, she was reported missing for months until detectives found her dead in Pine Hills Monday night. This newly obtained missing persons report from Orlando police is shedding more light into 16-year-old DeShayla Ferguson. She was found shot to death outside this home in Pine Hills Monday evening. Investigators later telling us the 16-year-old was reported missing for months. This missing persons report shows then 15-year-old Ferguson was last seen at this DCF office on South Kirkman Road back on August 12th. Records show she was at this office as a transfer from Seminole County to be given a family placement for the night before she appeared in court the next day. Staff members say she was involved in a human trafficking case. They say while at the DCF office, Ferguson began arguing with staff. Then eventually, she left the facility. According to this missing persons report, police gave updates in September and as recent as October 18th, just 6 days before her death. The report listing Ferguson as missing, a ward of the state, and a habitual runaway, and their case at that time remained open and active. But why was she shot and left for dead outside this home on Broken Pine Circle? And who killed her? Both questions that remain unanswered at this hour. Yeah, so many questions still remain. We're also reaching out, trying to find out more about that human trafficking case mentioned in the missing persons report. We did reach out to the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation, and they have
well, folks, that's it for ClayEnterprise Newsletter Podcast Episode 3. We steady rolling and controlling, baby. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the good shit. Till next time, peace.